I am, as you are that you are, for we are all that we are. And so we come back today to connect with all of you beautiful fractals who watch, who support, who align with these messages, who allow yourselves to be taken upon a journey, but not just to be taken, to actually play a role within that journey. You show up, and when you do, you honor those around you. You honor spirit, you honor yourself, you honor source. So we thank you for participating at this time. So with that, when we talk about the connection and the unity between all of those different aspects that I was just laid out, source, self, others, as there seem to be individuations between individuals and groups, etc., there also is a collectivity. In the collectivity, there is the group consciousness. You all move as a unit, as one. Majority rules. And so as you do, your individual preferences can become inflared as you wish to overall, in a subconscious way, desire to move the collective in a direction of your preference. So take the vaccination example. There are many amongst your society who are fighting tooth and nail between getting vaccinations or not. Those who have mandating those who have not to do so. Those who have not resisting in various ways, whether it's through rebellion, through rioting, through self-inflicted harm, such as taking on victimization constructs, victimizing yourselves to believe that you are helpless, or that whatever choice you have made has only been done because of coercion, allowing you to bypass and escape your own personal responsibility. All on this plane have done this. So this is not a judgment or casting of shame upon you specifically, but all, including I, the speaker, the one you know as Zay, the individual. But coming from the perspective of I am the whole. There are things occurring that the individual cannot always see. And just as you can only see straight ahead, but you'll never see that curve all the way down and around the hill. You'll never be able to see behind you when your eyes are facing forward. Well, just in that same way, you, the individual, cannot see or understand the objectives of the collective. You can only experience your own individual perspective of it. But in totality, to see the entire, the whole, the one, splitting and tearing at itself, fracturing in different areas, in different ways, never fully coming into its own, because always stuck in a state of perpetual forward, backward motion. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Chasing without ever completing. And so with that, the collective is experiencing the sensation of consistently working towards coming into full knowing of itself as divine, fully embraced and embodied in their own innate abilities as a collective, telepathic and empathic with each other, transparent, without need for secret, for what would be kept secret is always exposed to telepaths and empaths. And so with that, we come back to the understanding that as the individuals have been divided, when we look at it from a grander scale, the one, the entirety, the all, has been fractured. It is very much like undergoing illness. For you, as a person, as a being, to be at odds with yourself, to be at war with yourself, would be nothing more than a wound, an illness, something in your body that is not serving your well-being, that does not put you at ease, that is a dis-ease, right? And so with that, the all of the collective that is humanity, is in this state of growth, but infected in a sense. And there's much warring with itself. Unified as a whole being, but never achieving a goal. Always this way, that way, this way, that way. Without a singular objective, such as upward. I am not here to answer the questions. I'm only painting the picture that you may ask yourself, and you may start to see the way the manipulations are painted, that we may be at odds and at war with each other, that we may be at odds and at war with ourselves. Of course, we never look at that from a collective perspective as humanity, but we do always experience that sensation in us individually, don't we? How many of us are so consumed with whether or not we are on the wrong path, whether or not we've done the right or wrong thing, whether or not what we're choosing to do, the way we're choosing to think, the way we're choosing to be, is being judged by others, is being judged by our loved ones, our family, our friends, whether or not they'll be accepted, whether or not these things will be accepted, whether or not we will be accepted by them in our truth. All of the cycles and the ruminations and the running around in the mindscape, judging, twisting, meandering, manipulating, contorting ourselves to fit the molds of others on a day-to-day basis. How many of us individually experience that? Experiencing being at odds with themselves, being in moments of socialization and enjoyment, and feeling like you couldn't express your truth or say your honest opinion because you knew you'd be shunned, you'd be laughed at, you'd be ridiculed. How many of us have these bright, inspired ideas, these grand what-ifs, these unfulfilled dreams that we've never taken action on because the world, our parents, our friends, our family have told us that is not the safe thing to do. That is not the smart thing to do. That's too risky. You need to get a job. You need to be practical. You need to work and have that stable income and have that stability and have the traditional life that everyone else is supposed to have, that we're all supposed to want. How many of you do not want that and have yet to admit that to anyone else because you barely admitted it to yourselves? It's happening every day. And I see it happening within the collective. This video is a message and a wake-up call to you to recognize that all of this is simply to keep you out of whack, to keep you out of sync, to keep you away from truth, the truth of yourself, the truth of spirit, the truth of source. It does not matter about this right wing, red wing, blue wing, right wing, left wing, COVID, vaccinated, anti-vax, mask, unmasked, good, bad, up, down. It's not about any of that. All of that is set up to keep you away from what you truly are, which is that no thing right here, right there, in the center of your being, in the center of it all. And when you leave your center, when you leave your authentic truth, and you follow the voices, the whims, the wisdoms, whatever, of anybody else other than yourself, first and foremost, this is when you fall out of whack. And this is when you find yourself at war with yourself, always trying to get back to that center place, that little space where all is well and all will be well. Because you are at peace and at ease in your truth. All of these dualistic polarity battles that the collective is currently going through, that they've got you going through the media, trying to force you to choose this, that, here, there, instead of getting you to inquire what it is that you want in your life for the highest good of yourself and your family, for what's going to be best and in harmony of your community, what is going to be in service of the all without causing any unnecessary harm or damage, in a way that you can live a life that with your head held high in comfort, with respect and dignity. Getting into all of these other arguments is a distraction, and it keeps you away from your true goal. And they don't want you in that space, because when you're in that space and you're in your truth and you're not following, then you break through and break out of the systems. You start to realize you no longer need much of the systems. You start to realize what systems you truly do need, and you encourage and facilitate that. You tear away from the greed and the unnecessary hands in your pockets to foster the space needed to live the lives of peace and joy and purpose that we all wish. So in understanding such manipulations and machinations, you need to be able to look around yourself and ask yourself these deep questions. Ask yourself seriously, sternly, how much of the narrative that is being spun to you is making sense? How much of it is really resonating? And how much of it are you just accepting because peer pressure? Because so many others around you are saying it. And this is not to cast judgment on anybody who does, because again, we are human. And that is part of the experience, and we all at some point or another, and many of us at this point very much so here and now, are afraid to speak their truth when it comes to standing out or standing against the common popular thought. The only unfortunate issue with that is the common popular thought is often a thought created and spoken by someone who is not fit to run your life. You are the most fit to run your life. And if you can run your life from that still center place, that 0 point that brings you closest to stillness and to the divine, closest to your truth, closest to yourself. The more you can come from that space, the more you can create the world you desire, you truly desire, that is meant for you. And the more you can find a way to be at peace with the rest of the world that's going on around you, despite whatever's happening, the more you can find a way to be in the world but not of it, as opposed to being of the world and stuck in it. Break free of the matrix by detaching from these polarized, bitchy, bickering little arguments. Focus on the well-being of your highest self and your loved ones and your community as you need to. Allow others the same grace. And as we can come to that space and start to begin to do that, even those with power over will lose their power over you. If they lose their power over enough of us, we can get them the fuck up out of there. But overthrowing, changing over the system requires changing over ourselves. Be mindful of what you're putting in your ears, what you're listening to, what you're putting in your head. Pay attention to the way you feel around people. Care about the energy you're receiving and you're getting off of others. Invest and focus on your truth and how you can spread more of that, how you can be more of that, how you can let that light shine and you good to go. And so with that, it's your boy Zay-P. Be sure to like the video, like the page, subscribe. I'm out. Peace.